tour 240 shows a year, and right now we're on a 70-day tour across the United States.
Part of our goal for this year, I think, is moving forward and being authentic in ourselves. And one thing that is really interesting in the music industry is finding the right brand, because part of getting your music out there, it's sending a message and marketing yourself. And so things that we've been harnessing with Amber, who does our social media and our tour managing, is finding pieces of ourselves that are authentic that people can relate to. So, like, Savannah is obsessed with NASA. Her grandfather used to work for NASA and do the thermal electronics.
He was working thermoelectrics for the Borg Warner Viking 4 mission to Mars.
And so she, like, represents it with, what she wears, and, a lot of the songs touch on space and, the world around us, and things like that, I feel like, are ways to be authentic. And in our music, we try to spread a message of going in a genre-less direction. So we don't really try to hold ourselves to keeping this song produced this way and this song produced this way. And that's one thing we focused on making our new album, Odyssey, was like, how do we make this cohesive but not play by any certain rules?
Absolutely. And I think the way that we present ourselves is also with an air of mutual respect. I think that's the most important part of touring sometimes, is being able to walk into a room and demand your own respect, but also have it for the people who are they're working with you. And so that really defies stereotypes. That changes the story for people in the room. It's just walking in and being respectful and professional. I think there's a lot of people who tell us not to work as hard, and like, why are you working so hard? Maybe you should learn to take some time off. And I think it's hilarious because Katie and I are workaholics. Like, our idea of fun is actually, getting a full day's work in and being productive. We feel pretty gross if we're not productive for like 24 hours. And I also think, like, this is a job, which I think it's easy to forget. Like, this is something where you have to walk in with professionalism and kind of change the story or the stereotype that might be attached to you. And so the stereotype is that, if you're a young musician, you're going to walk in and have a party, and it should be all fun, and you should only focus on the music part because you're the artist. And really, it's such a bigger picture than that. You have to learn about your craft. You have to understand your gear. You have to understand your goals, your long-term and your short-term goals. You have to understand what your finances look like. You have to understand how to read a contract. You have to understand how to manage your business. And I think that's the part that it's so easy to forget. So that advice that's given to you, while it's intended to be helpful and intended to remind you to take a step back and look at the parts where you should be enjoying yourself and having fun and being relaxed, I think it's harder to understand when that's being enacted on full time. Like, the fun part is playing music. It takes work to get there. So that would be the worst advice, and I think we hear it the most, is the funny part. But I think, honestly, that just comes from a little bit of insecurity. The fact that we're just working full time and we enjoy it is something that can cause insecurity for other people too. Ways to keep yourself healthy. When you're out there all the time, sometimes all you have as an option is gas station food. That was our option this morning, even. Yeah. And we have to, find healthy options at these gas stations, and we'll also have to get our exercise in, and find times that we need to drink more water, especially when we change time zones overnight, and then suddenly we're 6,000 feet higher in the air than we used to be. And so I think making sure that you're accomplishing all those things in an environment that's consistently changing is really important, and establishing routine to create consistency where there might not be any because you're in a different city every night is incredibly important. So what we do sometimes is Katie will go do yoga, or I'll go for a run, and we'll stop by
disc golf.
We'll play disc golf. We'll stop by a Whole Foods, and we'll just try to see how much we can get for under $20 and carry that with us for a tour, and that keeps us healthy, and it's also good for your brain too. It's all connected, I think.
It is.
So
totally.
Yeah. How about you?
For me, the mental health too is something that we work on, and it's really easy when you're moving, and that it's go, and then stop. The days off are actually more challenging than being in the middle of the chaos.
Why is that?
I think that, especially when we're home, we kind of stretch ourselves pretty thin because we're trying to catch up on all the work that we're trying to do.
All our gears broken. We gotta go fix it.
And then we need to make time for our families too, and you know, we all have relationships, like romantic or otherwise, and it's sometimes a challenge to keep up with people when you're on the complete opposite schedule from everyone that you love. So
yeah, trying to figure out a time to call my parents has been really difficult because we're like 4 hours behind Michigan.
Well, they wake up at like 4 in the morning and go to bed at like 8.
I like eating food a
Nice.
lot.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry,
Katie's the
Michael.
one with the food blog.
That
Yeah,
is very true.
I try not to be a stereotypical millennial posting pictures of food on Instagram, but
All of your
I-
pictures have a bite out of them already because you forget,
Yeah.
and then you're like, oh
Take
crap, I have
pictures.
to take a picture.
But no, I since we started touring, I got really interested in nutrition and food health and sustainable agriculture because of the way you see the world different when you're living out of a suitcase and like going from gas station to gas station and getting like, you know, $20 of pub food at the venue that night,
yeah.
and they give you a bunch of drink tickets and you're left with no food, and like it's really interesting to see like we come from Michigan, and a lot of areas do like festivals on organic farms, and it's a lot of community-based food, and so that's something that like, you know, really inspires me, is seeing that connection between art and food and music.
Don't forget about the goats, though.
Being healthy. Yeah, I went started woofing, which you can travel and have opportunities to learn about organic farms, and so I went with my boyfriend to Florida, and we worked on a goat dairy farm for a week.
That's
and
awesome.
I want to go, every time I see a goat now, I just want to go cuddle it.
Poor Katie.
It's amazing.
I think I do a lot of different things. I've picked up archery again this year, and I also I'm really into wolves. Like, I absolutely am obsessed with them. So sometimes when we're on the road, I'll drag my bandmates to like a wolf habitat or reservation, and we'll go like look at them. Like,
That's awesome.
we'll just go walk around and check out these wolves. And so that's really cool for me. We all read a lot too, just speaking for everybody. We all read and we listen to a lot of science and history podcasts, or, you know, comedy podcasts, because Michael's super into comedy. And, yeah, and so, and we'll also read, or, listen to music a lot and watch movies, so we pull a lot of inspiration from those places as well. And then, yeah.
And yeah, I'll do any sport that has golf in the title. Like I do disc golfing and regular golfing.
Like,
Oh my gosh. I had a thought last night that when I think of something that's really complicated, I visualize like a bunch of tangled up like mic cables. And like, my brain just like can't comprehend like how to even begin to pull them apart. And so it's like literally you kind of have to like mentally lay them all out and then like one by one like pull them back together.
good.
That's great.
I don't know.
I think I go into like a weird haze for a while. Like, I'll be really sad the day that I need to write a song. And I'll like sit down, and it's usually when I'm home, because I have time to like it all hits me there. Like, oh my god, everything happened, and I haven't had time to process any of it. So I'll sit down and like open up rhymezone.com or something, like cheat, and then like open up, I keep a journal too. It's like a 400-page long journal of like stuff we've done every day, and I'll like pull pieces of it. And I think a lot of it too is like reflecting on things that might have happened, whether it's subconscious or right at the front of your brain. But I think when I'm writing, a lot of it is just completely like, it's just a haze, and then I put it together, and afterwards it's something that I can find meaning in. But while it's happening, I'm just kind of trying to make sure every line is standalone good by itself, you know, and that way it doesn't seem like I'm being lazy about writing it. It's more like I spent time on each of those lines. That's really my goal when I write.
Totally. Yeah, it's like putting together a puzzle or something. You know, we like take all
Absolutely,
these notes
yeah.
on the road, little like sticky notes, and then eventually you have to put all the scattered pieces together. And yeah, who was it? Like Vince from the Appleseed Collective was telling me that their album is like a stew instead of a meal, or like as a meal instead of a stew. It's like this beautiful food metaphor for making music. And
I think we should rely solely on food metaphors.
From now on.
Yep.
So
Kinda
my
like
music's
that.
like a sandwich, it's very linear.
Yeah, mine's more like a weird experimental smoothie with avocado in it.
Yeah.
And juice.
Matcha, weird stuff. Yeah. Yep.
If my music is like a meal, it would be like I one time made butter chicken, and you have to prepare all of like the spices and stuff separately from the actual like meat,
Oh,
and
yeah.
then you put them together afterward.
Yeah. Butter chicken.
Yep.
All right,
Got
butter
it.
chicken, ham sandwich, experimental smoothie.
Nice.
That's our new names for the band.
I love it.
My dad always has this running, like, joke thing. He'll, like, pick on me and be like, yeah, if there's stars in a song, it's one that Sav wrote. And I'm like, Dad, you know. But it's true. Like, I have a really deep, like, kind of emotional connection to the stars, mainly because I just think they're beautiful. And I used to, you know, memorize all these constellations when I was a kid. And I don't know, it's really nostalgic for me. So when I went to Arizona for the first time on a family vacation, I think I was 9. And my parents took me stargazing, and something about Arizona just really makes those stars, like, pop. Like, they're so close. You can see them really well. And I absolutely loved it there. And so I kind of manifested that about 10 years later when I started writing songs and put together this memory of those stars. But I also think it's about coming to terms with the fact that you can't be perfect for everybody, and you can't please everybody. You kind of have to recognize the balance between being an individual and accommodating for others. And also, I think I have an issue with taking on a lot of emotions from the outside, like a lot of other people's emotions, and trying to fix their problems for them, or trying to, you know, I'm OCD, so I try to, like, make everybody feel okay by the end of the day. And I think one of the biggest lessons I've learned this year is that you have to give people time to go through their own emotional processing. It's not a problem to fix. It's a cycle that we have to go through in order to regain or to patch up our mental health a little bit. And so that song really, I feel like all of my songs change meaning as I go through life, and they all kind of come full circle, the way that you see a word you've never seen before, and then suddenly it pops up again 1,000 times over in your life. And I think songwriting is a lot like that, where you can find a different line, you didn't know what you meant before by it, and then it makes sense later. And so right now the song is a lot about emotional and mental health, and coming to terms with the fact that authenticity is more important than being perfect.
Mm-hmm.